All right, it's 5 o'clock. We'll call the meeting of the Paintsville Utilities Commission to order. We'll do roll. LB.
Present.
Trish Nelson.
Present.
Tim Spencer.
Here.
Mitch. So a little bacon right there. All right. Review and approval of the minutes.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we have some guests with us tonight, and due to some other obligations they have, we're going to do move item down to section 8 under 8G. County Judge Mark McKenzie is with us. Sewer collection system expansion. Bob, did you hear that?
Yes.
Mark, you got the floor, brother.
Thanks, Jim. Thank you all. I appreciate the opportunity to share some information and open a dialogue about some additional development opportunities. As you know, Bob and the mayor and myself and Regina, we made a presentation to abandoned mine lands, you know, for the sewer extension project that this commission supported as well. And as you also know, abandoned mine lands awarded $4 million toward that project. But part of that presentation, part of that project was it did multiple things. One, it was economic development driven, it was environmental driven, but it also created some opportunity for expansion. And so that's what I wanted to mention this evening, is that expansion piece. Because the project will be able to divert volumes from the Paintsville plant to the Honey Branch plant, we've kind of been looking and kept it on our radar as a target area because we want to deliver commercial sewer to as many areas of Johnson County as we can. And one of those areas that we've been looking at for some months now is the Thelma area. The Thelma area has 5 package plants, as you all are aware of. So it has, at least primarily, an environmental. It has 5 package plants. The indications are there's several homes that have failing systems individually on their properties for sewer. And so that's an area that we feel like is an area that's concentrated, that we can be able to deliver some value to that community. It will obviously help with property values to have commercial sewer service available down there. It can also help with economic development. And while you may not deem Thelma as one of those primary areas for economic development, we have to remind ourselves, I think, that anywhere there's commercial sewer service available, there's opportunity for development. Because without it, it doesn't develop. It doesn't have that opportunity. And so that's one of our areas of growth. But that opportunity did not become available, or doesn't get really put on the radar, unless diversion of volumes can occur through the other project that's already in the works. And so that's the reason that we're kind of moving forward, trying to get the Thelma area project moving. And so with that, we're going to make some applications, and I'm going to let Regina in just a second explain to you in a little more detail, because a lot of times folks, obviously you want to know initially, well, what we're looking at, cost, where's funding, opportunities, those type of things. And so we've already done some research on that. But I guess my purpose of being here is, one, is to share the information with you about the county's interest in asking your all's consideration for extending sewer to the Thelma area. We've obviously created some great dialogue with the project that's already on the table for the sewer extension project. A good dialogue with the county and the city and utilities and a lot of other partners, and so we want to just continue that and hopefully get some opportunity for the Thelma area that's next. And so, Regina, as far as funding, kind of two areas, I guess, or at least one primary funding source we're going to look at initially.
Yes, we'd like to look at Community Development Block Grant, CDBG. I'm sure you're all familiar with that for the projects you've had here. And we've had some preliminary conversations with the city, and they would be willing to submit a CDBG for $1 million. And the county would also be willing to submit a CDBG for $1 million. And we'll have to find out the cost through some preliminary engineering studies before we know where we need to look for the additional funding. But we would like to get that rolling because that's kind of a long process with CDBG. It requires a survey of the service area. So one of the first things we have to do is determine the area in which this project would serve. And then we would do a door-to-door survey of randomly selected addresses in that service area. And that survey would be done to determine if the beneficiaries of the project are low to moderate income. And 51% of the people that we survey must have low to moderate income in order for us to be able to apply to CDBG. Our preliminarily looking at that community, we do think that it has a good chance of meeting the LMI, the low to moderate income, that we would learn from the survey. And we would like to get those surveys rolling, maybe by late fall, early winter, so that we could meet the spring deadline for the CDBG application.
And from the county's perspective, we can go ahead and make an application, the city can as well, for CDBG, even though the county does have a pending CDBG project, which is the W.R. Castle Fire Department expansion project. We can't actually get funded for another CDBG until that project closes, but their plans are already in Frankfurt to be approved for their construction. So we can make an application for another project. We just can't get awarded another project, but we want to go ahead and get this thing, we want to get this thing moving with your all support. If you believe it's a viable project for the utilities, we would like to get it moving forward. But I've had conversations with the mayor already, and we are in agreement that we would both make applications for $1 million each from each entity for CDBG funding for this project.
Now, you said this needs to be done by the spring?
Well, we would like to do the surveys sometime, get those surveys done by the end of the year of the property owners down there to see if they qualify for LMI. And then that way we know, obviously, if CDBG is the most viable funding source for this project. So we want to try to get those surveys done. That's what makes it kind of unique in one sense, because that community down there is one that could be fairly easily surveyed. As if you can imagine, if you try to go out and survey some areas of Johnson County with so many properties so sporadically placed, you know, it's not easy down there. There's a more concentrated population, more concentrated housing. It makes the survey of those houses house by house much easier. And so, plus again, 5 package plants down there. You have the Carl Perkins Center, the Johnson County Housing, and then you have 3 other package plants, 2 of which, is my understanding from Bob, are currently under your all's supervision and operation, and 1 is still privately owned. And so those are obviously very, very much targeted uses for this commercial sewer service down there, as well as all the other systems individually.
When do they award those grants?
So they'll be due before July, and that they used to wait to award them, but now they review them and award them as soon as possible. So whenever the project seems to be that they reviewed it and it meets all their criteria, they'll give you a score. If your score's high enough, then they'll fund it. So it could be, late 2020.
And again, we had some initial discussions on this just from the standpoint of, because of the project that's currently in the works with the diversion of the volumes. It's projected the Thelma area would have volumes somewhere around, Bob's on the phone there, I think somewhere around 30,000 gallons a day is the projected volume. So, capacity wise, with diversion from Paintsville to Honey Branch, it certainly frees up, that opportunity for Thelma.
Once one of these things are awarded, how long do you have to spend the grant?
A couple years. We could even get extensions. So I wouldn't. It's not something I would worry about meeting that deadline.
Any other questions? I won't take up too much of your time, so I'm happy to answer any questions and appreciate your consideration for the project as you all move forward your decision making. I mean, obviously we can file for all the grant applications we want, but obviously it comes down to your all support for the project, and whether you find it beneficial to you all. Certainly we see it as beneficial to the community overall.
Bob, do you have anything to add?
I pretty well covered it.
Thank you, I appreciate it. If you would, one quick thing, I know you're going to talk about your Pal Addition sewer extension, but there's a project that the county's had pending for a while that we've been pushing the last few months, and that's the sewer project coming out of Van Leer, which goes from the landfill to Pal Addition, which includes the lift station that your project will utilize for Pal Addition. There's a pre-bid meeting on the project for the Van Leer and the courtroom on the 2nd floor on Thursday at 10:30, pre-bid meeting. We've been pushing that thing hard for the last 7 months or so. because it seemed like it kind of just languished down there, and we've called about every 2 weeks, just where are we, and so we're at a pre-bid meeting now on that project at Thursday at 10:30.
We get all the right of ways?
Everything is taken care of there, yes. Yeah. Yeah, so anyway, that'll be Thursday, so that obviously ties in and supports what you're doing with Paladation, so just want to pass that along as well.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you all for your time, I appreciate it.
Thank you all.
Thanks.
I'll make a motion to request for authorization to seek proposal for preliminary engineering on these potential expansions.
I'll
You hear?
second.
We have a motion and a second to seek approval. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. So, you're all right.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Did you already apply?
I'm gonna catch it before she gets out the door.
Get it in the mail.
You got that check in your pocket?
Yeah, we got that. Thank you all, we do appreciate it very much, thanks.
All right, we'll fall back in line and go back to the top of number 3, review and approval of operating report.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Ayes have it. 4, consideration of construction pay requests and change orders.
Okay, Jimmy,
Yes, Bob?
I would like to table that for the last thing on the agenda.
Absolutely. I'll move on to 5, review and approval of monthly invoices. 5A, legal services.
I'll make a motion that we can make the consideration number 4 for pay requests and change orders to be tabled. Did I make a motion?
I don't think we have to make a motion, do we, since we didn't do anything with it? But we'll motion and
If you're
second.
gonna move
I'll
it
second it, that way we can table it.
Yeah.
to table, then you gotta make a motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. So 5A, paying the legal services invoice.
I'll make a motion to pay the legal service invoices.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it. Other operating invoices. Bob?
I can't get that file over on my computer right now, so there's no cloud or something out of the ordinary on there.
Okay. We have a motion to approve the other operating invoices.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Motion and second, all in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it. 6, departmental reports. Anybody want to add or take anything away from their sworn statements?
I'll take it back if we go out there.
Bob, anything you want to add?
No, not at this time.
That was a force, then.
7, old business. 7A, downtown I&I project. Where's Bo Cook at?
Hey, bud.
He's still in the
He's
spot.
over there.
He's in the
Still
spot.
in the spot. Another thing I want to thank Bob for, utilization of his office. The,
Have everything you need.
well, contract 2 is finished. I think that was reported, last month. The only, contract 1, there's some additions to that from the last time. Overall though, we had 43,000 or 46,365 linear feet of sewer line that has been lined. And 239 manholes were sealed. It's a little under 1,800 vertical feet of that. Aikens, contract 1 had at the mouth of 6th Street, beside where Porky's is, We had, I guess, a couple months ago, a month and a half ago, they had a section blowout, and you all fixed it. Well, Aikens went down and stabilized that this past month. And also, while we were down there, there was another section that looked like it was would cause problems in the future, so we fixed that also. There was a line at 8th Street and Walnut Avenue that extends from that manhole over to that same hollow we're talking about. We talked about before, where it started off with the 12-inch and then had been repaired and dropped to a 6-inch or an 8-inch, and then there was a 6-inch in on the other end of it. So that line was where it had leaked. We took that out and put a manhole there, and then put an 8-inch PVC pipe inside the 12-inch back to the manhole on Walnut and 8th Street, and then went on out to took up the 6-inch and replaced it, and then replaced the 8-inch. There's about 252 feet of the 8-inch, and there was a 4-foot service. It was a 4-foot at 4-inch service that was put in. Like I said, there's a T and a manhole. They also went up on Frank and Street and Highland Avenue, and there was a junction box there where it was discovered before they put dye in. They just really replaced what was there. The only other thing, down on Preston Street and Highland Avenue, there's a similar junction box. We need to get in there and either smoke or do some dye testing to see if, you know, if that goes into that, or if there's an interconnection between the storm sewer and the water, or the sanitary sewer. They repaired the saw cut on the driveway on 6th Street and raised manhole 744. And that's basically, they've kind of pulled out until we decide what else we need to do. We also, we talked about, I guess, Church of Christ there on that sinkhole. What we're going to do about that. There was some investigation. We really don't know where that church connects into. It doesn't come in around that manhole. We think it's on down toward Walnut where it comes in. And there'll have to be some asphalt repair, I think, on in the future for around where we did the subway and up on Happy Hall. But pretty much that's just the loose ends that needs to be done to finish that contract. So.
You're talking about Preston Street and Highlands. What about Preston and Euclid? Is anything down that way supposed to be tested?
We'd actually had that on there to maybe smoke test or figure out what's happening there. At Highlands, where it comes down to Euclid, there is a manhole there, but it's full of soil. Actually, grass was growing in it, so it really needs to be cleaned out and then smoked.
Well, I noticed that the drain on Euclid in Preston is full, and the property owner was complaining about water splashing onto his house. And I don't know if that might connect into that same system.
It may do. Because we know down around the old city hall, we do have a 4-inch interconnection there. Just where does that go? You know, because the storm sewer, if it's not connected to the sanitary sewer, then how do we have to repair the sanitary sewer to get rid of that? We just have to smoke test or clean it out, figure out what's happening.
Then you got the other one I've mentioned to you before, which is now paved over.
Yeah.
So that's part of trying to find out what's water.
Paving it over.
It's been paved over now.
That's happened several times, that we uncovered them, and then when they repaved it, they paved over it again, so. That's all. Any other questions?
Thank you. 7B, wastewater treatment plant flow monitoring project.
That project is essentially complete, with the exception of the influent meter being faulty. Now, it does read, but it's not important to our SCADA system. And at this time, unless something's happened the last few days, they're waiting for the new influent meter to come in. Once they get that, they can complete the project.
Does the money that the invoice that he's got there, the 17,000, does that close it out?
That will be the final. No, there is one more payment will become due on that. That would not close it.
Anything else we need to know about that one?
That's about it for now.
I think if there's more money left there on, because that's a cover of me.
Do you know how much more money is left on it, Bob?
I believe that final payment be a little over 100,000.
Oh,
Yeah, that's quite a few.
One or two.
But it's for,
Okay. 7C, miscellaneous waste, the water system improvements.
once again, not a lot to report on that. We are still working on some property issues, trying to get that thing rolling.
7D, the Paladin Sewer Extension.
We still have the one easement we're working on. David's working on that one. Once we get that final easement, we'll go down to the road development checklist and get that one moving.
And Mark talked about 7E, other ongoing projects, but he added that, let us know that the sewer plant pre-bid meeting was this Thursday. What else you want to add under 7E, Bob, other ongoing projects?
That would be it. And I do plan to be at that meeting on Thursday.
So does that mean you'll be back?
Yeah, sorry.
Thanks for the
Time
warning.
delivery.
Thanks
Put
for
the
the
red
warning.
sol- Yeah, put the red solo cups out.
We can still party tomorrow.
That's right, we got 2 more days.
Let's see, new business, 8A, depot pump station replacements.
Okay, on these new business items, it's probably good if I can spoke at what you got in front of you that have any questions or comments. We'll try to answer any questions and go from there.
Are we just ratifying what we already said about the,
Yes, on that one we are.
Make a motion to ratify the purchase of the 56 horsepower home pump, the depot pump station.
second?
So most second, all in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. New business 8B, fuel purchase.
Any questions or comments on what we have there?
Now, I was reading, Bob, where it says, we're storing 1,000 gallon on site in someone else's tanks with no drop tanks under it. We can get cards for fuel purchases and we can track it easier that way. And we wouldn't have to deal with having fuel delivered to our facilities and the guys can buy fuel wherever they are.
Correct.
So I think this one really, Bob, is you're asking for approval to enter into agreement with the Wax Fuel Card Program.
Yes, it will be done through Enterprise. Enterprise absorbs the monthly charges for the cards and so forth.
Make a motion to approve the use of the Wex fuel card through Enterprise.
What's the cost on
Bob,
I didn't hear.
is there a monthly surcharge for the use of the carts?
No, there is I think monthly, actually, there's an upfront charge of $40 to set up and $2 per card. The enterprise is going to absorb that cost.
So it doesn't cost utilities anything?
Correct.
That's the best kind, almost free.
I'll second the motion.
A motion and second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. 8C, the water plant computer replacement upgrade.
Matt, are you prepared to make any comments on that? Maybe Mike?
Yeah, basically what that is we have in-plant SCADA that controls everything in the plant. They have Windows 10 on their computers. As of January, that's out of date. It's no longer will be used. And we've got to get something back in its place. And we've got a quote through Rod Myers. I don't have that with me. I think it was like 12,000 something, 12,800 I think. And there was a question I think on the warranty of it. And I spoke with Marshall Howard, the sales rep through Rod Myers, and he said that it had a 3-year on-site warranty. And what that really means is they'll come in for 3 years and repair anything on either computer. There's 2 of them.
Bob, do you remember the cost on this?
What's not on the sheet you've got there?
There's no price on
No.
it.
Should have it here. It's $12,060.
And that's for 2 computers and the monitors.
That includes the software?
That's for the software being installed. That's everything.
And
That's just for the SCADA, the plant SCADA. We also have this is just the plant SCADA.
Does that seem to be a pretty good deal here?
Well, yeah, it's kind of, the software is, I think, $35,000. If you buy a new, different type of software, we're kind of married to it, really. That's just the software, that's not counting computers for a new software system.
but the 12,060 is for the new computer,
That's for 2
the software, and all on-site repairs for the next 36 months.
Yes,
And updates on keeping the software.
yeah, that's all included in that.
So that's what you recommend?
Yeah.
I'll make that motion that we will purchase that.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second, all in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it. 8D, the trench shoring assembly.
That is a safety issue we need to address to make sure we properly protect our guys from the ditch.
I make a motion to approve the purchase of the 2 shoring assembly sections from Allen Trench Safety at a cost of $6,770.
Second.
Have a motion and a second, all in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it. 8E, boom truck crane.
Anybody's against any of these things, they better be telling us.
What?
If anybody's against any of these things, they better be raising their hand.
Yeah.
Boom truck. Who's the author of the boom truck? Tell us
I
about
don't know what he's got on there.
Here you go.
The crane that we've got right now, matter of fact, we were in a situation today, the depot road pumps, which are the same size as the West Van there too now. They're a good size pump. We got the one, we was pulling it out of the depot and got all the way to the top of the lid. and it just stuck. We got smoke rolling off of it and everything, off of the crane. We'd get them, bring it back over from shop, hook onto it, pull out. Anything with any weight to it at all, it's not very trustworthy right now. We've had crane for a good while. The actual mast of it was all right, but as far as, it's got the electric winch on it, when we're looking at, we have the hydraulic on it, a whole lot better, a lot more reliable. But like I said, the one we got right now, I don't really trust it to lift anything heavy with.
From talking to Bob, the truck's in good shape.
Yeah.
So the truck's worth keeping, it's just, we just gotta replace the crane.
This thing fit on the truck pretty easily.
Yeah, I mean, the quote for this was them installing.
It was the people that built the truck,
Yeah.
so.
That's what we made sure of as far as rating wise. That was actually the largest size crane we could go with as far as what they've got there. It's just a little bit bigger than what we've got. But it's just enough to do what we need.
We do a lot of lifting in it.
Oh, yeah.
I make a motion that we purchase the boom truck crane for $23,980.
So was this one, does this crane just meet your needs? Or does it exceed the needs that you'll have tomorrow
The
or
ones
next
we're
month?
getting, we're not gonna have any pumps bigger than what we got right now.
All right, that's what I make sure. We were gonna come with a new pump.
That
a new
crane right there was on our old boom truck. We just transferred it over onto the big truck.
I'll second it.
We have a motion second, all in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it. 8F, refinance the Army loan.
Yes, we call out the Army loan, it's for refinance the Corps of Engineers loan to citizens 4.5 years ago. At this point, we need to look at refinancing that, means that it's a balloon payment of about $3.2 million coming up in April. Just want to kind of get a head start on it and see what options are out there and advertise for it.
Amount that needs to be refinanced is $3,195,295.23.
Make a motion for Bob to shop around for the refinancing on the long term.
I'll second.
A motion, a second, all in favor?
Aye.
We've already done 8G, 8H, other new business.
I don't have anything to add, unless somebody else does.
Do we need a motion to move into executive session, Bob?
We do for personnel and potential litigation.
Do we need to go back, or are we gonna table till the next meeting on those two pay requests?
We'll come back to those after executive.
Okay.
So we need a motion to go into executive session?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor? Ayes have it. We'll move into executive session. We have a motion to come out of executive session?
Motion.
Second. All in favor? In executive session, we had a conversation about potential litigation on one sewer line here in town. We authorized Bob to go into conversation with Lee's Trailer Court about the package unit out there and the number of trailers that are able to connect. We're asking David to contact one homeowner about the potential condemnation of a piece of property preventing a sewer line extension. We gave Bob approval and authorization to contract with Fanners to run a new line over on Broadway. And we authorized Bob to fill a current vacant position of assistant water supervisor pending the notification of the employee. That's all that was in executive session. Table, we will come back to.
Construction pay request.
Number 4, consideration of construction pay request and change orders. We have 2 of them. The first one is invoice 5, Goggins Construction, $17,651.79. Funding source, Paintsville Utilities.
Make a motion to pay Goggins Construction.
We have a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye? Ayes have it. Invoice number 21, paid to Thomas Environmental. The amount of $127,472.60. Paid for funding source, Paintsville Utilities.
Motion to pay.
Second.
All in favor?
You want to ratify that to make sure that there's no extenuating, it's a closure, that's the final payment.
Yeah, that is a closure on the downtown project I&I, contract number 2, 100%.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Ayes have it. We have a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Nobody wants to leave.
Do we have a second? All in favor? Ayes have it.